Good morning. Let's get some slides going. So I'm here to talk to you about the brain, and it's phenomenal to see so many bright, enthusiastic brains here right now. I'm going to start with a story of where I first started my journey with customer experience and the brain. I'm taking you to 2007. I'm a customer experience program manager. I'm working for a large organization in central London. It's my first big customer experience gig. At that time, I think that customer experience is very much about transformation projects. It's very much about NPS and management. It's also very much about process. Now, if I fast forward the time to now, 17 years on, I run my own business, and those clients I work with very often talk about transformation, measurement, and process. And when we think about how transformation, measurement, and process works, we think about people. And it's not just people, we're thinking about brains. Brains, neuroscience, and psychology. Now, here's the thing. When we think about brains, we understand far more about what we be doing in customer experience that will make our customer experience programs very much better, very much more efficient. So what I want to talk to you about today are some opportunities. I have some characters I'm going to introduce you to. I have some people who you might choose to follow. The lecturer in me wants to give you some information about books. Sorry about that. I've also got a few exercises that I'd like to run with you. The key thing here is that I've got 7 things that if you follow these steps, I can guarantee that you will make improvement to your customer experience program. So the first thing, manage your chimp. You must be thinking, what on earth is she talking about? Chimpanzees? This is a customer experience talk. This is what I'm talking about. This is the work of a genius, a gentleman called Steve Peters, who described how the brain works for simple people like me to understand. I want to introduce you to some characters here. First of all, we have the computer. The computer contains a bunch of information, the kind of information where we would say, yeah, I've got that stored. Yeah, I understand that. I know what that is. The next character is the prefrontal cortex, the stick man. This is the newest, and this is where we do some decision making. We pros and cons. We are able to distinguish between what we like to do and what we might not like to do. And in the very center is the chimp. This is the emotional center. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what you're doing day in, day out with your customers. Now that when the chimp is calm, it's all, you can get decisions, you can have a conversation with your chimp, but if the chimp is going berserk, it's a very different matter. That is when you have complaints, you have angry customers, you have aggressive customers, you have unreasonable customers. Because this is what's happened. And I'm going to give you an example from a flight that I took not long ago. Sat waiting for the in-flight entertainment, the gentleman next to me, the in-flight entertainment wasn't working. So what happened in his brain is that he thought, the information should be working. He goes to the computer. Yeah, it should be working. He goes straight to the chimp, and the chimp goes berserk. He's starting to get very angry. And because he's in flight, fight, or freeze mode, it doesn't even give the stick man an opportunity to say, it's okay, and it's going to be fine. Which is what happened next is that the stewardess had to calm the the customer, down. This is what we have to deal with every day. And so when we have this basic understanding of how the brain works, is that we're all dealing with one another's chimp. The job of customer experience is to keep that chimp calm, which means you need to manage their expectation. You need to watch how they're behaving. You need to address that. And when you do, that's when the prefrontal cortex will work with you and you'll get the best result. Now, connecting with this, we are incredible because we have this brain that is creative, it is illogical, it is a beautiful mess, but it means we have incredible imaginations. Now, let me give you an example of this story. About 4 years ago, I bought a flat by the sea. So I bought an apartment by the sea. I was waiting to hear from the lawyers as to whether it had gone through. I was excited. It was 11 o'clock. They were meant to say to me, yes, 11 o'clock is yours. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. By 3:30, my imagination had decided that I couldn't have the flat. Someone else had bought it, and it was a complete disaster. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, we have to communicate with our customers. Even if we don't have an update that is what we think is progress, we have to manage the expectations of our customers, which means keeping them informed, giving them the information that they need. Because the eldest part of our brain is still developing, we have this thing called negativity bias, which means we will naturally go to a place which is less positive. That's just the way. When we're able to actually say to customers, we're aware that you might be a bit nervous or this might be troubling you, we're addressing the negativity and we're drawing them to the positivity. Now, I hope that you find these slides funny because when I saw them, I laughed out loud. But this is our crazy, wonderful, brilliant brain. The fact is, when we make work hard for our customers, they don't like it. And this is why. Scientifically, we use more glucose when we have to work hard in our brain. We really don't like this idea. We'd much rather have things that are easy, intuitive, and straightforward. We want things to be faster, we want things to be easier, and we will take option. Even if you're a bit more expensive, I've got enough to do in my life, things that are hard enough. So help me make things easy. Oh, actually, I'm going to go back one. This happens all the time. Isn't it hilarious? Here's the path. No, we're going to take a shortcut. And that's the way life is for all of us. Early in my career, I worked in marketing, and we had segmentations and persona where we designed experiences according to generalization. When I heard the work of a neuroscientist called Lisa Feldman-Barrett, it blew that idea out of the water. This is fundamental to all of you that work in customer experience. Just take a moment to look at this image. I'm not inviting you to give me all your answers. We don't have time for that. But when I've run this experience before, people will say, holiday, sea, freedom, coral, scuba diving, loneliness, boats, fun. Every single one of us interpret things differently. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where human to human, we can create some of the most meaningful, most powerful, most personalized ever experiences out there. This is the lady I'm talking to you about, Lisa Feldman-Barrett. She wrote an amazing book called How Emotions Are Made, and also 7.5 rules about the brain. Now, what she says, and bear with me for a second, she talks about every single one of us having different influences in our lives. Of course, different parents, different aunties, uncles, teachers, different siblings. We all have different things that influence our socialization. We also have a different context. So imagine in one moment, the surrounding environment is very different to the next. And I'll come to that again in just a second. Experience is key. Now, about 20 years ago, I took the decision to quit my job and I went round the world on my own for a year. And a bunch of people were terrified. They tried to tell me not to do it. A bunch of people said, "Oh, you're very brave. Good luck. Maybe see you." And another group said, "I'll come and visit you. When you're in India, when you're in Australia, I'll come." Because each of them had different experiences and they attached different meanings to their experiences. That influences how they see your experience. This is a common saying in customer experience, and I wish we didn't use it. Because the fact is, we cannot walk in our customers' shoes with them, for what experience they've had. We don't know how they've been socialized. We don't know the context in the actual. We all experience emotion deeply and in the moment. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand about neuroscience and we must get empathy. Empathy is commonly looking like this. I remember calling a contact center. Now I spoke to a lady who was probably in her 20s, and she was trying to tell me that she completely understood something like that had happened to her, and it was all about a similar thing happened to me. I know exactly how it feels. I imagine you must have felt. It's all about the individual and not the customer. We must recognize that. And that's why I'm encouraging all of you that work in customer experience to blend empathy with emotional intelligence, because then, ladies and gentlemen, we will be able to do this, which will build relationships, which will ensure that the customer feels heard, and they will build trust with you much faster. There is not a good understanding of empathy. We must fix that. This is something I've borrowed from Lisa Feldman Barrett. She talks about this in her TED Talk, and it's fundamental. When you see this picture, you might think that person looks as if they're in agony, they look angry, they might look triumphant. It's only when we understand the wider context do we really know what is going on. We have to understand that. And what Lisa Feldman Barrett talks about is facial recognition to spot empathy is a mistake at the moment. Because unless you understand the emotion within the context, you are misled. 95% of the decisions all of us make are emotional. We tell ourselves that we make logical decisions. I'm sorry to break the bad news to you, but post-rationalized, which means we make subconscious decisions, and then after we've made them, we then say, "Oh, and here's the long reason why," as if it's not okay. We have to understand that customers are making emotional decisions, and that is why, ladies and gentlemen, our emotions have to be recognized within design. There are so many things to know about the brain. There are so many different things we are learning every week through MRI scans and through lots of reports on how the brain works. What we know is that the brain has something called neuroplasticity, which means that it changes its neural pathways. We know that chimp is alive and well. We know that COVID and the pandemic has caused the chimp to be in overdrive, which means you're likely to be getting more complaints, more demands, less tolerant customers. That's not going away in any hurry. I spoke to some neuroscientists before I came out, Audi, and they told me we need to be prepared in the next 3 years to start sorting itself out, but it's not going to be immediate. Let's go back to what I said at the beginning about transformation projects. If we think about transformation projects and we think about them as a bunch of brains that we need to influence to get people to change, we might get change to happen much faster. If we think about measurement in the wide context and not run around when an NPS score goes up a couple of points or down a couple of points because we don't understand it, we have to think about measurement within the context. And please, when we think of process, think of the employees, think of the customers, and make it easy, because they don't want to work hard. Please remember that we are all messy, irrational, beautiful brains together. I'm Sandra Thompson. I'm an emotional intelligence coach. I am a consultant in customer experience and employee experience. And I should like to thank Charles and Hassan from CXSA for bringing this topic to you, because the fact is, very few people in customer experience are looking at neuroscience and psychology, and I am honoured to be here to present it to you.